Good morning. So, thank you, Pastor, for your kind words. Like you mentioned, my name is Corporal Jason Kundam Cadet. I'm with the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, Richmond Detachment. I'm currently a shift supervisor at Vancouver International Airport. Originally from Thrissur, Kerala, born and brought up. Came to Canada 25 years ago, been a police officer for 15 years. During these 15 years, I worked in general duty, which is the uniform, traffic, serious crimes, now in the airport policing. My father was a police officer and my grandfather was a police officer. So this is the third generation, and I'm thinking my daughter is going to be a police officer, so we'll keep going. This is the only job we know, so we're just going to do that. So today's, there's a bunch of things I can cover. There's lots of things we can talk about the policing world, but I had to pick and choose what's relevant and the type of the offenses I come across from our community members. So working for 15 years in the policing, mostly I come across our community members is two main offenses. One is domestic violence situation, and the second one is driving related. So whether you got a ticket or drinking and driving, something like that. Sorry, my radio is going on my other ear. So drinking and driving, or got a traffic ticket, or license got suspended, something like that. Or it is something to do with domestic violence between husband and wife, or children, or something like that. So today I picked 3 or 4 topics to talk about. Hopefully I'll be able to finish within an hour or so, hour and a half. It's going to be a little dry, so stay with me on this. So we'll be talking about the domestic violence. We'll be talking about a little bit about disciplining the children. That's one area I noticed our community members get into trouble, not knowing what to do, what they're allowed to do, how to discipline the children. Then we'll be talking about a little bit about the common frauds, because lots of our community members have been subject of the fraud. You know about this CRA scam going on. Then we'll cover a little bit of Landlords and Tenancy Act. So we talk about, whether you are owning a property or you're renting. So either case, it will be relevant for you to understand some laws regarding the if you rent your property, or if you are renting, what's your rights, what's your liabilities, those type of things. So let's get into the domestic violence subject because it's long. So when we talk about the domestic violence, there is 4 major type of abuses come in this category. So the first one is going to be emotional abuse or psychological abuse, which will be basically your partner, whether that's, I will be referring to as a man mostly, because 95% of the cases I attend is usually the male is abusing the female. So I'm going to be referring as a male because that's what I predominantly see during my work. So when it's the case of emotional or psychological abuse, we're talking about your partner is making fun of you in public or talking about you with the friends, so kind of humiliating you in front of other people and calling you a different name, character assassination, talking about your character as a bad person, yelling in public, trying to embarrass you. So one of the main category in this is that the male is talking to friends, saying, yeah, she's always like that. She sleep until 11 in the morning, or she never make food for kids. So, and they ask the friends, that, right? So you wanted to get them to agree to your idea. That is part of the humiliation, public humiliation. You're trying to get other people to agree with you about negativity about your other partner. And then there's a part, the control and shame part, where There will be threats made, you can't go out, you're not allowed to call this person, or if you do this, I'm going to do this. This is just the beginning stages. So this is usually progress into the very last stage of the assault. So I'm just talking about the step-by-step process. Then pretty much monitoring your whereabouts, wherever you're going, whatever you're doing, you are online, who you looking up, what are you searching, who you're texting, those type of thing. Basically spying on you, looking at your internet history, emails, texts, call logs, and things like that. Then there's going to be the one I mentioned earlier, direct orders or using others. Something like, oh, everybody think you are crazy, or they all will say you're wrong, those type of thing, because you're always right and the other person is wrong. Your ideas is the right one. Or it'd be accusing or blaming or denying. So blaming you for the other's problem. It's because of you this happened. If that was me, that wouldn't happen. Or they abusing you, but they're denying that it really happening. They're not ready to accept that. Or some part of this is the jealousy part. So what really happens with, especially within the South Asian community, is that you bringing in some traditional cultural values with you, then now you're trying to learn new things from the Canadian culture. So there's going to be a little bit of clash there. Let me give you an example. So I'm currently helping with a domestic violence situation in our community where the female goes out after the work and go out with their friends, have a coffee or drinks or whatever. But the husband thinks that he needs to know where she is, who she is with, okay? So most of us who came from India, we know that, hey, there's nothing wrong with it. That's how it's supposed to be. Husband has a right to know. Morally, probably it is wrong, morally, or from our culture may be wrong. But in Canadian culture, there's nothing wrong with it, okay? So she's an adult, you're an adult. She chooses to go have a coffee with her friends, go out for a drink or dinner. There's no obligation for her to report to you, but she can be nice or he can be nice. Tell you, I'm going to go out with my friends, John, we're going to be at this place. Okay, good. But if she didn't tell you, there's no obligation, there's no legal responsibility, morally maybe. So that is the type of situation with one particular family now that developed into a situation, became a physical assault. Now the guy has been charged, now the court proceedings is going on. Because we having that conflict with our cultural values, with Canadian values, and understanding what is legally wrong, what is morally wrong, right? So like I explained, nothing legally wrong about she's doing whatever she's doing. Morally, if the moral values are big for you, may be wrong. So jealousy, that's where the jealousy come in, because our traditional values tell us the wife, supposed to come home after work, she should cook food for the husband, prepare the kids, and do the clothes, laundry, everything else. Our traditional value says that, but in Canadian values, that's not right, okay? Because you are two individuals, both of you working, both of you busy, so it's going to be working together as a team, contributing from both sides, give and take. You cannot expect or consider that as their responsibility to do it, and you're not contributing anything. So those type of things, it's a clash between two cultures. So when we go down on this list, next one is emotional neglect or isolation. So shutting down the communication, you're no more communicating between husband and wife or spouse. Keeping you from socializing, what I just mentioned, you can't have any friends, no family, don't call anybody, I don't want anybody calling you. And actively working to turn others against you, so telling them bad things about you and telling them, don't call her, she's always like that, she's not social, she doesn't want it to be part of this, those type of things. This is just the beginning stages of the domestic violence. Then there is another stage to it, which is it will come as a combination of these multiple things, or it'll be step-by-step progress. The next one is the financial abuse. When you come to financial abuse, for an example, only one partner in the relationship is working, the other partner is not. Now, that one partner got all the money in their hands, the other partner doesn't. So he or she end up getting some allowances. And you usually maximize credit in your name, then doesn't make the payments, or threaten to cut off the finance completely to the other partner because they don't have any other way of getting any money. Now you're going to take advantage of that situation and you're going to start with the financial abuse. That is come together with all this scenario. So like we discussed, there's 4 stages to it. I skipped the second one, we'll get to it next, then we'll go to the physical abuse as the last. So when it comes to sexual abuse, this is a very sensitive subject. This is not something we commonly discuss in our community about the sex and this type of things. But it is important for you to know where it became a sex assault. You could be easily charged with a sex assault with a minor mistake. So I'm going to explain that to you in detail because we had that incident in our community. So a husband and wife, boyfriend-girlfriend relationship, say you are very intimate, you regularly have sex, but one day your spouse tell you that, oh, okay, today's an off day, I'm not in a good mood, I'm tired, whatever. Today's a no day, right? But now you're going to force yourself. Now you're like, no, I'm your husband, I'm your boyfriend, no, this is going to happen today, right? Now you get into a sexual relationship with your partner without their permission, even though that's your wife or a husband or boyfriend, girlfriend, doesn't matter. When they say no, then you push it forward with your agenda that became a sexual assault. It will be a little difficult for you to get that concept, understand, because in our mind, that's my wife, okay? We have this relationship every day. You can't tell me today I'm going to be charged with a sexual assault because I decided to have some intimate time with my wife. But that's how the law says. You can, when they say no, that's the end of it. There's no more pushing forward after that. Or now say you guys mutually agree, okay, sure, let's go for it. But in the middle of this process, one partner changed their mind. They say, oh, no, that's it. No, I don't want to go any more further. We'll stop it now. But again, now you're going to push forward further. That became a sex assault, okay? And that's one of the most serious offenses you can have, especially if you are a permanent resident, student on work permit. You don't want to see that on your file because the police and the immigration has a working relationship. So if it is a permanent resident, student, or on a work permit, we share the information back and forth. So if anybody got charged with a criminal offense, if they are not a Canadian citizen, we call the immigration and say they've been charged with this offense. I'm not talking about getting a traffic ticket on the road. That's not a criminal offense. That's under the Motor Vehicle Act, which is provincial. I'm talking about anything under the criminal code. You got arrested, you went to the police station, you got fingerprinted, photographed, you've been charged with a criminal offense. We call up the immigration, say, hey, this person has been charged with a criminal offense. Then from there onwards, immigration started watching your court dates. They watch. If you get convicted, they will right away remove you from the country. So I'm just working with a file from 2 days ago. There's this group of people, they come into the airport. It's like 5, 6 guys together. They come into the airport. They distract people. They talk to them, can you take my picture or something? Give them the camera. So the passenger focused on taking picture, the other people walk away with their bags and everything. It's happened in the last few weeks. There's 3, 4 of them happened. But this time, luckily, this passenger had a phone in the bag, which we were able to track. And on the way, these people going to Vancouver, we stopped them, arrested them, brought them. They're all from Mexico. They are on visit. So we right away handed them over to the immigration. So they're going to be shipped back in a couple of days. So I'm talking about the working relationship between Canadian Border Services and also the U.S. Customs and Border Protection. They are at the Vancouver airport, so we exchange the information all the time. So if you get charged with a criminal offense, you may not be able to travel to US as well because we share the information back and forth. So we touched on the two topics. Then let's talk about so sexual abuse. So you understand the difference between where you have a permission, then you started, to get that intimacy. Then at some point they said stop. Then you're going to go ahead again. Then it became a sexual assault. And sexual assault comes in many different categories. This is not to scare anybody. Now you go home, oh my God, I don't know, I had to ask her. She say no, then what am I going to do next? But when your relationship is going sideways, right? So you have a good relationship with your spouse and one day it's off, that's different. But when you have that relationship breakdown, you're going through lots of negativity, lots of problems, that's when this became an issue, because now they could easily pick up a phone and call, and now you're in trouble, okay? So if you get convicted with a sexual assault, you could get up to 10 years in jail, okay? So keep that in mind when the situation started going sideways. Now let's get into the assault situation. So this is slowly progress into emotional, psychological, financial, sexual, to a physical abuse. That's kind of last stage now, right? So lots of the times what we see is, especially the South Asians, Indian or Asians in general, we like to stay in that abuse relationship. That's our kind of style, right? Because back home, we are like, say, husband slapped the wife, all the neighbors or families, അവൾക്ക് രണ്ടെണ്ണം കെട്ടേണ്ടതായിരുന്നു because kind of socially accepted, oh yeah, she deserved it. It's okay to do that. So that's not the case here. I mean, in South Asian community, we still put up with that a lot. We take it and take it and take it to the last point when it became extreme violent, or your neighbors call and say, hey, there's something going on in that house, go check on them. So usually we get a call from the neighbors. If you're on townhouse, apartment, somebody will hear things breaking, throwing, yelling, screaming, they call us, go check on these people, something is going on there. In that case, the police come to your house. We don't need your permission to enter because we are investigating a criminal offense. We can enter the house, okay? Because we call it in the police language as an exigent circumstances. There's circumstances we concern about the safety of another person. So we're going to enter the house no matter what, right? We're going to look around, we check to make sure everybody's okay. We're going to separate both the parties and talk individually, talk with children, look at what's in the house, things are broken, table is upside down. We look for the indicators. We look at any type of injuries on the face, things broken. If it's a video camera, we look at that. And usually the kids tell the truth. So we make the assessment, and when we have enough reason to believe there's an assault happened, then we arrest the party who's involved. I'm going to go through the physical abuse in detail. So one important thing here you should know is it's not who started the fight. It doesn't matter who started the fight. Because back home we say, അവനാണ് തുടങ്ങിയത്, ഞാനൊന്നും ചെയ്തില്ല, അവൻ ഉണ്ടാക്കിയതൊക്കെ എന്ന് പറയും, or അവൾ. So it doesn't matter who started, that's not important. But who's seriously injured, that's it matters, right? So a couple of months ago, I investigated a situation where the female took a pressure cooker and hit the guy on the head, okay? Good one. So, but it wasn't that hard, but then he took out the belt and beat her like anything, right? So when we get there, he claimed that she hit him in the head, but there's no injuries. There's nothing we can see. I don't know how hard it was. He's not bleeding. He was unconscious. But I can see it on her, the belt mark everywhere, right? So he got arrested, even though she's the one who started it, right? But she got the most serious injury. So it doesn't matter who started, but who got the most injuries. Or in certain cases, we look at the balance of power. So balance of power, what we mentioned earlier, there's a husband is working, he's making money, he has friends, family, car. Wife doesn't have anything, no work, no money, no friends. Now the balance of power, as a husband has more power than the male and female. Sometimes we look at the physical appearance. So the guy is bigger, girl is smaller, or just the way they are. So in short, we look at the totality of the situation, right? Who's bigger, who's smaller, who has the balance of power, who got the most injuries. Based on that, we decide who's going to get arrested that day. So let me just go through some of the physical abuse. The physical abuse is hitting, pushing, punching, pinching, shooting, slapping, kicking, stabbing, cutting, all those type of things. This is all come in the category of simple assault, okay? So in our police words, we have to identify who is the primary aggressor. Primary aggressor is it's not who started, it is how much force is used, what type of injuries, and who is the position of authority, and totality of the situation. That determines who is the person, primary aggressor. So if you get charged with assault, usually they say there's a verbal argument between husband and wife. Somebody called it in, police show up, we look around, there's nothing broken, no injuries, just an argument between husband and wife or partners. So we just separate them. We said, okay, you go this way, you're going to stay out, you're going to stay in a hotel with your friends, whatever. Come back tomorrow, day after. Let things calm down. We just separate them, send them both ways. Most of the time, we ask the male to go and keep the female in the house because of the safety and security and everything else. We usually ask, doesn't matter whose name your tenancy agreement is, we don't look at that. We just, okay, you're going to go, she's going to stay, come back after 24 hours when things cool down, then we'll go from there, right? But say there's a real physical assault, there's somebody got punched or kicked, or there's bruises, injuries, things broken, then we're going to arrest say in this case, the male, and we'll take him back to the jail. When it comes to domestic violence situations, so if you've been here only for a few years, I can tell you historically we had lots of big violence in the Indo-Canadian community. There's one particularly in our community about 5 years ago. This type of situation escalated to the point when a husband stabbed the woman several times, and one police officer happened to be there. It has happened in the school, kids' school. This victim's son and my daughter and the police officer's daughter, they all in the same class. School finish, and this member of our community, husband and wife, arguing. They came to the parking lot. Husband decided to stab the wife and kept stabbing. Police officer saw, he jumped in, he's off duty, and he got stabbed. So anyway, I was involved in that file, that investigation, and now I think he's in jail for about 7 years or something like that. So this is the situation. So this is a situation where both the parties decided to stay in that relationship, keep working on it to the point somebody decided to go this extreme step. So we don't want to get there. We want to stop before that, right? So how do we do that? When this physical abuse, as soon as this physical abuse starts, you want to report that to the police, right? Even before that, if you can go through the counseling and things like that, you can resolve it, that's great. But there is going to be sometimes there's a point that it cannot work out. So any type of physical abuse happens, immediately you want to contact the police. So the scenario we were talking about, police come, they arrest the male, take them to the jail, then every single domestic violence situation, we have to forward the charges to the Crown Counsel. The police has no discretion to decide whether we should forward the charges or not. But let me explain that again. Say, for an example, two of you got into a fight outside, the police show up, and you both say, yeah, we are friends, it's okay, no big deal, I don't want any charges. Police say, okay, no problem, you go your way, you guys were fighting, you have no charges, you don't want the charges, you can go home. But when it comes to husband and wife situation, police doesn't have a discretion. That means discretion means certain authority is given to the police to decide whether they should charge this person or not. But when it comes to domestic violence situation, we don't have that discretion. Ministry of Attorney General says you should charge the person all the time, 100% of the time. So we don't release. Otherwise, almost 98% of the time, police has authority to release somebody they arrest. But in this case, police has no authority to release somebody. You have to go in front of the judge, or if it is a weekend, you can go in front of the judge. So it will be a teleconference, it will be a video conference call from the jail. Then judge is going to release you on conditions, right? So that way we kind of washed our hands. Now it's up to the judge. If something happened, judge release them, not the police. So that discretion is taken from the police, the release of authority when it comes to domestic violence situation. That's because of many violent incidents happen, not just talking about our community, but in the Punjabi community, there's several well-known cases of people getting stabbed and killed. That's why this changes in the law happen. So now you get released, judge will release you with conditions, something like keep the peace, be in a good behavior, don't use the alcohol, drugs, don't contact your spouse, don't go to their house, don't go to a school, church, lots of conditions. You're released, and you will get a court date a month from now, 2 months from now. So what happens in this particular situation I'm dealing with from last week is husband decided to keep calling this person and show up by the house or show up by the work just to watch what's going on in the other party's life. And what happens in that situation, you're breaching your conditions. Your conditions said not to go 200 meters, 300 meters off your other partner. So if you end up sitting in front of the house, you're breaching that condition, you'll be arrested, you'll go back to jail. But this time, judge won't release you because you already breached the conditions they have given to you. Now there's no guarantee you're going to, follow through the next condition. So the judge said, you stay in the jail, and we'll decide, right? So if you happen to be in any of these situations, you wanted to make sure you consult with a lawyer. Because this can happen. This when even your spouse did not make that phone call, it could be a neighbor or somebody happening in a bus stop, in a shopping mall. You push, you kick, you punch, now next thing you know, police showing up to your house, right? If you are in this type of situation, you need to get a lawyer assistance, right? If it is, if you are within certain income range, you can get a legal aid, which is free lawyer service from the government of BC. You have no charge for it. Google legal aid, contact them, talk to them. They will give you the advice how you should proceed further. Especially if you are a landed immigrant, student, work permit, you get into this type of situation, you wanted to navigate through very carefully because you don't want to end up with a criminal conviction. In that case, you could be sent back home, right? So a legal assistance is always needed in this type of situation. And from my experience, 15 years, if it is a first-time offense, there is no serious injury. When I say serious injury, this assault itself has several different categories. So the one we talked about, slapping or kicking or punching, that's simple assault. Then it's an aggravated assault. Aggravated assault is you broke somebody's arm or you punch them now, they need stitches, so something happened to their figure or something, right? Then it will be aggravated assault. Then there's assault with weapon. That's the one I talked about earlier, hitting with a pressure cooker. That's an assault with a weapon. Weapon doesn't need to be a knife, gun, or anything like that. Weapon is something you can use to injure other person. So you have a pillow sitting, you're trying to suffocate them. So in this particular file, I attended this pressure cooker file. The husband was sleeping, and the wife had a pillow on his face trying to choke him, right? So that's also a separate offense. So those type of things. So you could use anything as a weapon. So maybe a plate, cup, whatever. You're just using a force against another person. So even if you throw a chair, but I didn't hit them, you commit an offensive assault because you intend to hit that person, right? You're using a force against that person. You throw water somebody, just the water, or you're just pushing somebody, it's all considered as an assault. I'm not saying it's necessarily is going to be charges, but it's considered as an assault. You could get arrested for it. So you wanted to be very careful about that. Now, I explained the assault, aggravated assault, assault with weapon. Next category is something, it's a progress into the next level of more serious offense. So this is called forcible confinement. This will be case for the domestic violence husband and wife situation. When we cover the children, I will cover this as well. So forcible confinement is basically, this is another example from my experience dealing with another Malayali family. The girl came from India. It did not happen in this province, happened in different province, but they somehow got hold of me and I was consulting on that. So girl came from India, has been only for a few months here. And the guy locked her up inside the closet. I don't know how he was able to lock her inside the closet, but then locked the door and left, okay? So the forcible confinement, the offense itself is everyone without lawful authority confines a person. So if you have no lawful authority, so people with the lawful authorities, police, corrections officers, peace officers, somebody like that has lawful authority to confine one person. That means you can take custody of that person, you don't have to release them because that's the authority given to you. Anyone without that authority imprison somebody. That means just the example I told you. You're locking somebody up in a bedroom. In your mind, it's no big deal. I don't want her going out with her friends 10 o'clock in the night, so I'm going to just keep her here. In your mind, it's not a big deal, but it is one of the most serious offense. It's called forcible confinement. So you don't want to get into those type of situations. So the story I was talking about, he locked her up in this bedroom and he left. She's been only there for a few months. That's one occasion. Another occasion, he pushed her down from the stairs. And third occasion, this is a week after he came. Thank you. Week after she came, he took her to a McDonald's in the middle of the winter in the city and left her in the McDonald's and he drove home and asked her to walk back. She has no idea where she is. She doesn't have a phone, nothing. So I'm talking about some form of domestic violence situation, people at that point being very naive in the country, and you came from back home thinking, it's okay, I think this is how things are in the relationship, right? So I was trying to say the forcible confinement because this subject is very long and it could take 4 hours to talk, but forcible confinement, I explained to you what it is. Next stage here, this is the situation which I give you an example before. This is called the criminal harassment. So criminal harassment is a stage when you got this documents from the court say, no contact, don't go to the house, stay away from the church, gym, everywhere else. When a criminal harassment happens, you start following this person around. Where is she going? Who's she meeting with? Who's she having a dinner? Or keep calling, keep texting. So you've been given an order not to contact this person. Now you keep doing it. It's not only breaching your condition, but it became a criminal harassment. That is completely a different charge, okay? So the definition of this is engage in a conduct cause the other person to reasonably, in all the circumstances, fear for their safety or anyone known to them. So basically, the other person is scared to go to work because he's thinking he's going to wait outside. They don't want to go to gym. They don't want to get out of the house because they're always thinking that this person is following you around, right? So some of the example is repeatedly following from place to place, repeatedly communicating directly or indirectly. So the condition set by the court, it will say, don't contact directly or indirectly, okay? So the example I was telling you from a couple of weeks ago, I know both the parties. I'm close with both the parties, husband and wife. Now the husband got charged with this offense. Now he is actually coming to me and saying, hey, can you maybe talk to her and maybe something we can work this out. So that will consider as a breach because you cannot contact the other person indirectly. So now this is an indirect contact. They know they have a common friend. You're going to call up the common friend and say, hey, can you just talk to her and maybe ask her to drop the charges? Now you technically breach your conditions. You could go to jail for that. So that is direct or indirect contact. So the criminal, I'm just giving you some examples of the criminal harassment. Then watching a house or a place where the other person or anyone known to them reside, showing up to their work or wherever they do their business, or engaging in a threatening contact direct at the other person or any member. So some type of behavior you're displaying is threatening to the other person or the family members. So everyone who commit that offense is guilty of an offense, could get up to 10 years in jail. So that is the little bit about the domestic violence, 4 different type of domestic violence, different type of offenses, and what happens. So let me tell you what the final result, how it looks like. So if it is, from my experience, again, it's a case by case. The first time offense, you have no other previous contact. This is the very first time you got any type of criminal charges here, and the physical violence you directed towards the other person is nothing serious. There's no serious injuries or broken bones or something. The court proceedings usually ends with conditions, right? The judge will say, next 1 year, you're going to keep good behavior. You're not going to get into any trouble, argue with anybody, don't drink, don't use alcohol. And you complete that 1-year sentence without any other problems, that will just go away, okay? There's no criminal charges, okay? There is criminal charges, but it will go away at the end of the year. That's called the conditional sentence. Judge is sentencing you with the conditions. If you follow these conditions, you will be a clean man after. But this will be always in the police file. It is not going to go anywhere. This happened because things could escalate again in the future, right? But it won't show up as a criminal record for you. It will just simply go away. So now, say for an example, if it is you are a victim of a domestic violence, what can you do? How can you get some help? Okay, so you can take a picture of this if you like. You can record it. If you don't want to do it in front of your husband or boyfriend, you can say it's for your friend and take it. So basically, Victim Link BC, that 1-800 number, that's 7 days a week, 24-hour service. They have over 150 languages they speak, so it doesn't matter what language you speak, they will always find somebody to speak with you. They'll find you all the resources you need. So that's help within the community, social help, or they get you connected with the government programs, including the victim services. So one of the resourceful, the police partner is called the victim services. So they work out of our office. This is our victim services part of the RCMP or the police service of your jurisdiction. If you are a victim of a crime, especially not necessarily just the domestic violence, maybe a serious motor vehicle accident, you lost somebody died, the victim services come, they will chat with you, they bring in the people to assist you, they refer you the counseling service, and they support you through the process. So if you are a victim of a domestic violence, the victim services program will be with you until it gets to the court. So they will be keep calling you, getting in touch with you, making sure you're going to come to the court, you are doing okay, and provide you with the counseling service. So that is the program within your own detachment or your police agency. But this is a program from the provincial government. So if you are not familiar with the transition houses, that is usually there's a few people from our communities working in that transition houses. So it's basically a situation, you're leaving house because of the domestic violence situation. You will be placed in a transition houses where all the other females are going through a similar type of situation, some kind of domestic violence situation. So, and you'll have the counseling service and support services. So that's the transition houses. So this number you call, they will be able to assist you with getting in touch with all those community facilities. And then also, there's a couple of other things you can do. This is called a peace-bond restraining order, which is basically, there will be order set by the judge. It's a family protection order set by the judge, which says your partner cannot be in any contact with you or with your children for the certain time period. So this legal services can walk you through that step by step. Then there's something called protection order registry. That is actually a confidential database where the police and the other law enforcement agencies contact in case of any type of husband-wife situation, fight or something happen. We call them up and to make sure there's no any type of order in place to protect the other parties. And the other thing you need to know is if you have a child in this relationship, Ministry of Children and Family Development will get involved. So police attend, and there's a physical abuse, violence happen, some kind of assault happen, and we feel that children's safety is in some kind of danger. We report to that Ministry of Children and Family Development. So you don't want we call it as a MCFD. So you don't want the MCFD on your case because they will not leave you until they feel that child is safe. They will come and visit your home every week. They talk to your children. They look at what's going on in the house. How is everybody dressed? Are they eating? There's a food in the fridge. They just check everything. So at some point, if they consider your child is not safe in your house anymore, ministry will make arrangement to remove your child from home and place them in foster care. So this is some of the complications from this domestic violence situation where if any type of violence is against the children, that's where the ministry get involved. But still, we report to the ministry this happened, and then it's up to the ministry. They do their investigation separate from ours, independent. So they come up with their own conclusion. For us, we need a reasonable ground to believe there's an offense committed. For them, they don't need the reasonable ground. They need a reasonable suspicion it happened. So it's a completely different way how they look at it. So you don't want the ministry on your case because they will go all the way down until make sure that child is safe, right? So if you got this information down, now what can you do about how do you prevent this type of situation? The answer is almost there's no way to prevent it. It will happen, but some of the steps you can take, contact the police from the initial stages. Don't continue to be that victim living in that relationship until you get to the point it come to a terrible assault situation. So you want to stop before that. So one of the other situation with our community member, he got into the fight, he punched her, and the female, they were driving, female got out of the car, she called me, she said, this is what happened, what should I do? I said, call the police. So police showed up, but I know this person very well, so I went there as well. Anyway, they took the guy to the jail. He stayed there for one day and came back next day. So it's been about 4 years, there's no issues. Because that first contact itself, that create a fear, and it's also built a file, right? Now there's a documentation building on this incident. So if you take that first step, most of the time, everybody just back up because back home, it's considered normal, so nobody take any action, right? Here, you take that action because there's going to be a serious consequences to it, right? An argument starts, walk away, take a break. If you stay in there, so before I became a police officer, I was working in the jail at Surrey Jail here. That is one of the most stressful job I worked. So part of that training is the de-escalation training. So you are in a situation, when I worked in the jail, there is 36 inmates, 36 people in the one room, and I'm the only officer in that room dealing with all these people. And I'm just sitting at a table and a chair, and they're just all around me, right? And the door, I cannot go out the door myself. It's locked. I cannot unlock it. Somebody has to open it from the control room, right? So I'm sitting there fearing for my life. So what can you do? I say de-escalate the situation. So the situation is so hyper, so angry, you want to de-escalate. You want to bring it down. We use that in the correctional. When I was working there, I use that in my job every day. De-escalate the situation, knowing where you are, what you're able to do. So for an example, I'm dealing with a guy who's 300 pounds, 6'4", and I'm the only guy. And you can see I had an injury from an arrest, so I'm a little weak on my wrist. So this is the situation I want to de-escalate. I don't want it to be, okay, let's do this, right? I'm a black belt in karate, but that's 10 years ago, right? So I'm like, I don't want to challenge myself to see, okay, I'm coming up 50 years old, I have a wrist injury. Now I have 2 kids. Now I wanted to think, okay, I want to de-escalate or I want to fight this guy, right? So it's always de-escalation is the best way to go. So how do you de-escalate? So let's give you an example, right? Say your wife is angry, almost all the time. Sorry, I didn't mean that. So wife is angry, she's up here, she's yelling at you. But now you wanted to say, she's asking you questions. Now you wanted to send some points. You wanted to respond to her answers, but you can only do that because you want to defend yourself. You can only do that if you're up here because she's shouting this high. You want to shout a little bit more higher than only she can hear you. So you're shouting up here. Now she want to answer. She's shouting over here, right? Now you want to answer. You want to shout over here because then it's keep going up because nobody can hear each other because you want to send your message in. She want to send her message in. So what do? You de-escalate. So she's over here, she's really angry, and you're like, okay, honey, okay. You want to say your point, because you're cool, you're calm. Nobody can stay up here for very long. After a while, it's going to start slowing down because you are up here, you're not going up. Slowly, it's going to come down to your level. But if you're going to go up, then it's going to go up and keep going up to the point, and you're just going to lose it, right? So you want to de-escalate the situation or disengage. You don't want it to be part of that conversation. You're just going to go for a walk. Everybody will be calmed down after a few minutes, right? Just deciding that you will not respond to that abuse or get sucked into that arguments, asking you the questions. You left home at 6 o'clock. You had to be supposed to be here at 7 o'clock. Where did you go? You get into that argument. Instead, just disengage, walk away, let the situation cool down, right? You want to think about the consequences, what can happen if you're in a townhouse complex, your next door neighbor is listening, your kids sitting there, they are seeing that this is the normal, this is how the marriage works. Everybody argue, everybody fight, everybody throw things. You don't want them learning from this. So you want to think about the consequences, effect on not only to your mental health or the neighbors complain, or also about your children, right? And accepting that abuse is in your responsibility. Don't try to reason with the abuser. You don't try to reason with them, trying to get into that point, trying to make your point and say, no, that's not how it is. I was here, traffic was busy, none of those. Don't get into that conversation, just walk away. And none of this is working out. You exit that relationship before it is too late, getting into more complicated criminal charges, right? Give yourself a little bit of time to heal and reach out for the support services, which I put it on that screen right there, right? Now, what else can you do? Say this is happening now. What else can you do? So create a telephone list with the numbers for the local police, especially when you are new in the country. You don't know who to call, where you're living. You don't know what number to call. Is it an emergency, non-emergency? Having a list of phone numbers, making arrangements with your friends or family. Things are not going very well right now, but maybe one of these days I'm going to walk out. I might need some help with babysitting or dropping the kids. Or I know it is very difficult to have that conversation with your friends, letting them know something going on in your personal life, but at some point you have to make that decision, and you need to have that arrangement ready before you take in the next move. If you can predict when it's going to be the next violent episode, for an example, it happens on every Friday night when he sit with his buddies and drink, or the day he get paid, or he goes out to play cricket and come back drunk, then it happens. So if you can predict when this usually happens and pay attention to it, make plans with the children and send them to the friends or family or other safe places so they are not going to be victim of this abuse. Teach the children to let you know when someone is at the door, not to answer the door, those type of things. That's basically if there's a conditions, and you not to be 100 meters radius of your other spouse. So now teach the children not to answer the door, don't open it, and things like that. Give them the phone numbers for the police, what to say, where they are, what's happening. Because what happens most of these times, this violence happen, husband or wife take the phone and throw it and break it. You're always on the phone, you're calling him, calling her. First thing is the phone. Now you have no way to get some help. So if your children has a phone, just tell them where they are, what's happening, giving the proper instruction to call the police, letting your neighbors know. If you have a good relationship with your neighbors, letting them know if you hear something, things breaking down, I may not be able to call the police, just call them, let them know something going on here and I need help, right? Planning emergency exits, teach your children, if this happens, Dad, come through here, he's yelling, screaming, everything, go through the back door, this is our plan, this is where we're going to meet, those type of thing, right? This is when it comes to criminal harassment part, then that will be like changing the locks, installing the peepholes on your door to see who's on the other side, changing the locks to the garage, mailbox, those type of things. There's a list of another 100 more things I can talk about, but I think we are at about 50 minutes with one topic, so we'll maybe jump into the next one. There's a lot more to talk about the same thing, but I'm going to skip it to the next subject because when I'm talking about this, it will be way too much to talk about. This is another situation where our community members usually get into trouble because every parents believe that they have a right to discipline their children, which is correct actually. The law allows you to discipline your children subject in the bracket conditions. There's some conditions when and who you can discipline. So if you look at the very first sentence, you know right away. If they are between 13, they're above 13, you can't do nothing to them, absolutely nothing, okay? That would be a shocker because that's a challenging period. I have a 14-year-old at home, so I know. I do lots of de-escalation every day. So if you have a teenager, you cannot discipline them. Discipline in the sense, I'm not talking about taking away their phones or cutting off their internet or their weekly allowance. I'm talking about disciplining, physically disciplining. So if it is a teenager, that's a no-no. It is a crime to assault, threaten, or assault someone no matter their age. So it doesn't matter what age they are, you cannot threaten them, right? Or if it is a child. So, sorry, I got lots of examples, sorry. Just an incident from last week at the Outlet Mall in Richmond by the airport. The two ladies just pulling the child on his hand, and he's screaming. He doesn't want to walk. He's 4 years old. So one of the ladies slapped him on his face, and he started screaming more. So cover his mouth, drag his hand, and took him back in the car, and they just go. Now we're trying to find these parties, and they are from Manitoba. So I get the license plate on the camera, Manitoba, and we send the Manitoba police to go check on them over there. And house is closed, and the neighbors said, oh, they're going to China. They're taking a flight from Vancouver. So then we need to find these people. I don't know where they're living in Vancouver. We got the phone number. We tried calling them. They didn't answer the call. Finally, we were able to identify through the airline when they are going, and we were able to intercept them, arrest the lady, and go with the charges and everything else. So now, you cannot, so when it comes to disciplining the children, there's a specific laws. So I would encourage everyone to take a look at Section 43 of the Criminal Code of Canada. Just type Section 43 Criminal Code of Canada. It will give you with some example how you can discipline them. So you can never hit them on the face. You cannot hit them anywhere on the private parts. So you can, females on the chest or any other private parts. You cannot discipline a child who's not capable of learning from the situation. So what that meant by the children with mentally challenged children with any kind of mental disabilities, you cannot discipline them because they cannot understand or they cannot learn from that situation, right? Seriousness of the child's behavior. So your child drops something very valuable worth $2,000 or something, that should not be a reason to disciplining them more because now the value of that thing, or scratch your favorite car, but it should not be a reason to give them 2 extra slap because now you need to repaint the car, right? If you look at one of the point there, the third one, the very last one, that's one I talked about before, unlawful confinement, right? Locking them up somewhere or putting tape on their face and on their mouth. Or we had a situation like that. The child was screaming, then the mother decided to put a tape on the mouth and tied the hands, right? So that will be a pretty serious offense, right? Then spanking in public is another one. You can do that in public, or degrading them by removing their clothes or whatever else, right? So the seriousness of the child's misbehavior is not relevant to deciding whether for the force was used reasonable. So it's always look at it, just like the domestic violence situation, the law, the court will look at the force used is reasonable on the circumstances. So your wife slap you on your back, now you punch her on the face is not a reasonable force. It's not equal force. She slap you, slap him back. I'm not saying you do that, but I'm not recommending or suggesting, okay, he slapped me, I'm going to slap him now because the officer said he can do it. So what I'm saying is, he slapped you, you slap him back, considers a reasonable force. But you slap him, he took a pressure cooker, hit you in the head, it's not a reasonable force, not equal force, okay? So that's what we're talking about. It has to be deciding factor used as a reasonable in the circumstances, okay? And cannot use in anger in retaliation for something child did. So you are very angry because your child did that. Or you ask him to, in my house, usually they're not doing the dishes or or some of the homework I have given them. So it should not be based on a retaliation for something your child did or didn't. It should not be that reason you punishing them, right? The seriousness of the includes any non-consensual touching directly like person regardless of amount of force used, slapping. So if you look at, I don't know if it is the same as, okay, so you have it, I'll just look at this over here. You can see that it's saying it should be intent to educate or the corrective purposes only, not as a revenge. And you cannot use any belt, rulers, anything like that. So basically, you can't have any mark on the child if you, sometimes one of the incident I saw, the spoon was used, those type of things, right? Back home, we have the stick, we know the teachers use it. So you can't use any of that. You can't have any type of, I don't know how you're going to punish your children without any mark, not on the face, not on the private parts, or there's nothing left. Okay, so I'm not saying come up with the creative ideas, but here it's usually timeout is the standard practice. You time out, you go sit down, no TV for you for one day, those type of things. That's all work here. So you don't want to use any of those belt, rule, or anything like that. Not allowed in a child who's incapable of learning. Like I said, somebody with the physical, mental capability of a 3-year-old when they are 10 years old. Force applied should be reasonable, like we discussed. You can't have any bruises, marks, and it's if there's any bruises or mark, that considers you gone beyond reasonable. Now there will be the police involved. there will be Ministry of Children involved. And when they go to school, they report to their teachers, and your teachers call the police. That's the working relationship with the teachers. So most of the time they tell their classmates, my dad, mom hit me, then that other friend told the police or the teacher, then it became an incident. The seriousness of the child's misbehavior, like we said, broke something very expensive or scratched the car or something like that, should not be a reason to give them a little bit extra slap. Or confining this child in a room or taping their mouth or tape on their hands will be considered a serious situation. When a child is involved, if you involve in this type of situation, at the Ministry of Children, they will create a file. They will interview both the husband and wife. They interview the child. Any other siblings in the house, they interview them. They interview the neighbors. And it's going to be an ongoing problems for you with the ministry. They will keep doing the follow-up. And if it happens again, second or third time, that's when the ministry look at moving the children from your home. This is a pretty cute subject. So this is, in your case, whether you are a tenant or you're a landlord, right? You have to be one of them. So in the COVID time, a bunch of our community members, they bought the houses, investment properties, that I know about at least half a dozen people. Majority of them got into trouble with their tenants. So if you look at the next slide, you know where is the balance of power. When you look at the landlord's right, you see 3. When you look at the tenant's right, that's where all the rights are. The landlord doesn't have many rights. So if you are renting, you need to know what your rights are. It begins with a tenancy agreement. Almost all the time, get a tenancy agreement. You want it to sign, unless it is you're renting your buddy's basement or something like that, somebody that you know or from the community and things like that. Still, if it is possible, get a tenancy agreement. And it's a standard format on the landlords and tenancy branch website. There's a standard format. It's not something you make it up. You can add on to it additional pages, but there's a standard format how it comes. Then there'll be a fixed tenancy or the month by month. So by month, they can give you notice and you leave with a notice. But fixed tenancy is for 1 year or something. When it comes to 1 year, you can renew it, or they can say you have to go, or something like that. So 2 different type of tenancy. To protect your rights as a tenant, when you moving in, make sure you do a complete inspection of the property with your landlord. Most of the time, you just go in there for 5 minutes, and yeah, I like it, nice room, okay, you're gone. Then you get a deposit, then you move in. You miss that actual part of that inspection process. That is important because you're going to pay half a month rent as a deposit. Now, when you're moving out 2 years, 3 years from now, you don't know there was a hole on the wall, that's breaking down, windows not working. Now your damage deposit is gone to the landlord because you haven't done properly documented anything. So you wanted to have a tenancy contract and an inspection kind of inspection report. Okay, there's damage here, that window is broken, this is not done, pictures taken, all documented and signed. So now, when that tenancy ends, yeah, this is all here, we're checking off everything, because you want to do end of the tenancy inspection as well. You want to go with them, check everything, yeah, this is how you give it to me, this is what I'm giving to you back, right? There's reasonable damage is expected. So reasonable damage does not mean it's a hole put through the wall. I'm saying you hanging a picture on the wall, it's reasonable, it's expected. There's going to be a little bit of stain here and there. But if you don't have a properly documented tenancy agreement with inspection, you're going to have a problem at the end getting your money back. And your landlord's supposed to give you an interest for the deposit you're paying. It's not very much. You have to look at that on the tenancy branch website. It changes every year. maybe 1%, 2%, something very silly. But they're supposed to give you an interest for that deposit amount. And it's illegal to ask for more than 50% rent as a deposit, right? Sometimes you rent a brand new house, expensive, they just purchased, everything is very valuable, they want to take some extra deposit from you because it's all expensive, but it's illegal to ask for that. But if you have a pet you wanted to keep, they're allowed to ask for a pet deposit, which is again half a month rent. So now, during your tenancy with them, you wanted to keep the things, everything documented, the rent going and back. Whenever you can, ask for a receipt, which is just you can buy it from Canadian Tire receipt book, and then you can write it and give it to you. Give by check or e-transfer. There's a documentation of money going in back and forth. At least you know there's no claim at the end that you didn't pay them rent and you don't have anything to show you did. Now, you are in that situation that I'm going to talk about the tenants first, because all the rights are with the tenants. So then I'll talk about the landlords. So if you're in that situation, you didn't pay the rent, it is illegal to change the lock of your property because you didn't pay the rent, I'm going to change the lock you out. It's illegal. It's illegal to cut off the water, electricity, any of those. They can't do any of those, okay? Again, a dispute between a landlord and tenant is not a police matter, okay? It is two people got in an agreement. I'm going to rent you this place for this much. Now there's a disagreement, or your internet is not working, or you're not letting me park here. That's something you work out with your tenant or your landlord, because police has no jurisdiction. It's not our business to fix other people's personal problem. It became our problem when there's a threat or there's violence, there's assault or damaging the property, those type of things. I'm not talking about the end of the tenancy, moving out, you see a hole on the wall, now you call the police, they damage the property. That's not what I'm talking about. You're in an argument with your tenant or landlord, now tenant start breaking the things, it's happening, unfolding now. There's violence, there's threat, there's assault. Then it became police issue. So we come and help with that situation. But we cannot remove a tenant for not paying a rent, or he's being loud, or he's not following your tenancy agreement. He's not supposed to smoke, now he's smoking. You rent it to 2 people, now 5 people staying there. Not our business. It's an agreement between you two. You need to take that to landlords and tenancy branch. So I'll have the information after this. Almost all these cases I talked about, some of our members, community members, headaches. Some people lost up to 6 months, 8 months of rent. Because if somebody doesn't pay you rent, there is a legal process in place. You can technically give them 10 days notice to vacate, but you need to take the case to landlords and tenancy branch. Getting an appointment is the biggest challenge. Once you get an appointment, I think you can file it online as well. Then you have to take it to, they will give you a hearing date. In the hearing date, they will discuss, you provide your evidence and everything else. Then they'll come up with a judgment. Now the judgment, for an example, okay, your tenant has to leave in 10 days. That does not mean that they're going to move out. And that does not mean that you're going to throw their stuff out and they have to go. It doesn't work that way. Now you need to hire somebody called bailiffs. Bailiffs are employed by the province of BC, and you need to go to a Supreme Court to get an order to remove them. So now the landlords and tenancy branch say, yeah, your tenant has to move out, you have a right to remove them. Their decision is the first step. Next step is going to Supreme Court, making an application, get a removal order, then hiring somebody called bailiffs. The bailiffs come there, they ask them to move, they don't come out of the house, then they call the police, so we come and help. Then they pack, they document, they photograph, they charge by hour. So by the time it's all done, maybe you're out of pocket $1,000 just for that. Then all the other months' rent you didn't get. So it's almost all the time losing game for the landlords. I don't really have any suggestion how to fix that because there's no fixing for that. It is the process. It has to go through the process. It takes time, and it can be frustrating, and you'll be out of money, lots of money out of your pocket. So you do your due diligence from the beginning, making sure you do all the checks, getting the credit history, employment references, previous references, making sure the person you're going to rent it to is somebody who has a good job, good financial background, somebody you trust, so you won't get into that kind of trouble. But because once you get into that trouble, there's not much you can really do other than just lose and lose and lose, right? So I already switched that. You got this information already, right? So this is all the sites you can, this is all the references, so you can call that number, email it to them, go into that website. They will tell you the process, the Landlords and Tenancy Act itself, it is on that website, so you can read through it. And yeah, so when you get to the landlords, right, you already saw that. There's not much there. You can give a 10-day notice for not paying the rent, but again, then you need to approach the Landlords and Tenancy branch to remove that person, right? Then right to enter the property you need to give a 24-hour notice if you want to enter the property. So you think there's something illegal is going on in the house, they're growing marijuana, whatever. You wanted to enter the property unless it's an exigent circumstances, emergency, water leak or something. You have no choice. You need to get in there, or somebody's in some kind of danger, you got to get in there. That's a life and death situation, which is different, but otherwise a routine inspection, anything like that, 24-hour notice. Then again, for the damage deposit and pet deposit, that's pretty much all the rights for the landlords. The landlords doesn't have much rights. It's all the right goes to the tenants. So if you have any, you got the references I mentioned there, you can go into their website and you can get some help from there, or you can just contact the Landlords and Tenancy branch and to discuss your concerns. So the other thing the tenants should know that the landlords cannot unreasonably stop you from having fun, right? That does not mean that you have 20 people in the backyard drinking and partying. Unreasonable, right? You have guests coming over, you have a party happening, birthday party or something, or you're playing a little bit of music, enjoying the backyard, those type of things. The landlord cannot unreasonably stop you from doing that because you have a right. You are renting that place and you have a right to have guests come over, spend some time. Not talking about additional people staying or a big party in the backyard, right? So that's Landlords and Tenancy Act. It's important because lots and lots of, I get maybe at least once a call a week with somebody with this type of situation. They're going through this process, which is painful and it is long. So do very first when you renting to somebody, get the right candidate, then things will be easier than maintaining that good relationship and documenting everything. We're going to jump into the last topic. How are we doing with the time? Think we're good? Another 15, 20 minutes more. Okay, good. So I don't know if you guys, especially during the COVID, I don't know if you noticed this, you get lots of this text messages paying a CRA send you a check, or they're calling from CRA. It's funny. I got a call and I'm talking to John Smith, but his English is so thick Indian. I said, okay, I didn't know it's a John Smith in Bombay, but anyway, it could be, right? So the majority of this CRA scammers, they're operating from the call center in India. So the coordination of operation by RCMP and the Indian Police Service, they shut down lots of it. Recently, this type of service has been shut down. I haven't got any calls lately from claiming to be from CRA, but they're switching into a different scam. So not necessarily, this was good for a longest period, and lots of seniors. And we had one community member. She got a call and told her that you need to go put the money now or you're going to be arrested. She's a permanent resident. She got scared. On the way to the bank, she called me. She said, hey, I have this situation. What should I do? I said, Don't give it. They were kept asking, where are you now? Which bank are you? How much you got? Like, just on the phone, she's so scared, and she's like, she was going to take out the money and deposit in the account, and I stopped her right on time, so she saved some money. So, you get any text messages with a link, don't click on it. Any text message, I get a text message from my friends, I don't click on it, because especially with Facebook, it can be hacked. So your Facebook account is hacked, then how is it get hacked? Because somebody sent you a link and you click on it, and that link stole all your friends list and send it to all your friends. So last week I saw it on the Facebook. I didn't know this guy is dead. That's the heading. I didn't know this guy is dead, and a link at the bottom to click, right? And several months ago, I got a Facebook message saying, oh, hey, I saw you in this video. Is that you? And I'm like, oh, shit, I'm excited. Okay, let's take a look, right? I'm on the video. But as soon as you click on it, it steals your personal information, your friend list. Now that link is multiplied and copied and sent to everybody. So everybody keep clicking on it. They're all losing their information, right? So you get this link. The primary idea is to steal your personal information, your profile picture, friends' information. In some cases, people even put their complete birthday there, so they know your name. And I did the special internet investigation course. That's a 1-week course, and they give you a name of a person, right? They give you a simple name of a person, somebody who really lives here, real person, and they give you a project. You need to find about this person everything you can with this name. So the type of information I was able to find, right? It's all not a police computers I'm using for. It's general information available to the general public, anybody with an internet. Information I was able to find. So with this name, I was able to find if this person ever got a traffic ticket, if they got a criminal charges. It's all public record. They have a property registered, there's Facebook account, the Instagram account, where their children goes, when their birthday is, where are they right now? Like, I'm guilty of that. I got a big Facebook profile and always post things. Rarely police pictures I post, but the information you share out there, then that's going to be duplicated, creating another profile in your name, sending requests to the friends. Usually it comes in the form of asking for money. So I got a message from one of our community member, good person I know, like, oh, I'm in the UK, I got stuck here, my wallet got stolen, can you send me 2,000 pounds? I'm like, yeah, we know each other from the community, but we're not that close for him to ask me for $2,000. It's just unusual, right? So I call him up. So he's here in Surrey, and it's like, hey, I got your message. I said, what message? So he didn't know he was hacked, but they will send out that message to all your friends asking for money or some kind of assistance. So, number one point, don't click on any link. Any link, don't click. Even that came from your friends, because if you really wanted to click that link, then call up your friend and ask, did you send me something? And what is it about? Before you click on it, because the moment you click, you lost all your personal information, number one. Number two, sometimes you get a call from, say, okay, I'm calling from CIBC, your credit card has a transaction, I think it is somebody fraudulently using your credit card, something like that. So they ask you lots of questions. What's your name? What's your address? What's your date of birth? What's everything else? They ask you everything. So instead, ask them, what do you have? Tell me. Tell me the information you have about me. Instead of you giving them your information, the best thing for you to do is, okay, thank you, I will be in touch. Take your credit card and call the number on the back of your card and check with them if that's really the case. Instead of answering to somebody on the other side of the phone with the Indian accent, you giving out all your personal information, right? I got a call last month about from a credit bureau. Apparently it's from the credit bureau. Hey, we are from a collection agency. You owe this much money and we want to collect that money. I said, last 25 years, I never missed one payment. I don't owe a penny to anybody. So, okay, give me your contact details, I'll call you back. No, they don't want to give me their contact details. They don't want to tell me who I owe the money. They don't want to tell me the amount, nothing. They just wanted to confirm all my personal information, right? So you don't want to give your personal information over the phone unless you're calling somebody, you're calling police, you're calling the ICBC, you're calling the number which you know is to be genuine. You're calling the bank, they ask you for information, but you know you're calling the bank, they have that information. But you getting that call from somebody telling you who they are and you don't know who they are, do not give out any information, okay? Because then next thing you know, they will be cloning you and creating another profile, opening bank account and things like that. So this is what an example of something with the CRA, the scam which was going on, getting a text messages. Now it's been changed to a many different type of scam. You get almost all the time, you get a call saying, congratulations, you won. You know that's a scam, right? There's nobody call you and you won nothing. So before COVID, I used to get this call all the time from, congratulations, I'm calling from WestJet. It's a recorded message. You won a trip to Mexico. I'm like, so excited, press 1. so you don't want to press anything. You want to just hang up because you never put your name down anywhere for a draw, so it's not your call, right? So they keep changing the tactic. They come up with new ones all the time. I'll go through few we regularly see. So one is this one we talked about. Then there's another one called the rental scam, rental. So when I was renting my basement, I got this email from a guy. He said, it's actually a girl, and the name looked like a white name. And oh yeah, I'm in South Africa now, but I'll be coming to Vancouver in 2 months. I really like your place. I wanted to take your place. But the rent is $1,500. I'm going to send you $3,000 check. So that's $1,500 for your rent and $750 for your deposit. Can you send rest of the money to this address or this person? Because I owe somebody money. I just want you to help me. And so before you do that, you will get those type of fraud, or you could get one of our community members, she got a similar to this one. She was applying for several jobs. She got a call from a person. He's coming from, I'm coming from Los Angeles. I'll be in Vancouver for a week. I just want somebody to take care of my child. I'm going to send you some money. Can you just go buy a child seat? No, check. Can you deposit that and buy a child seat? So when we come, it's ready to go for the car, and rest of the money you keep it. Then when we come, you can look after the child, whatever. Somebody sending you money in advance. Think about this for a second. You can't get $50 from your friend. He won't give you $50 if you ask. He said, I don't have money, man. I got $10. Now you have a stranger sending you $3,000 check without knowing who you are. They're sending you in advance. Keep the money and do the service hereafter. You know right away it's not the reality, right? So what happens in this case? They send you the check, but the check is a stolen check from somebody's account. You go deposit the check, and they will have your phone numbers and everything, right? Because you apply for the job or somehow, right? They'll be like, you need to deposit that money today to that account, right? They are in very urgent mode. They need that money to be transferred within, right? So you're thinking, I still got $1,500. I only have to give $500. You take that money, deposit in the other account. Week after, you get a call from the bank saying, that check is stolen, it's bounced, right? Now, you owe the bank that money, which you paid from your pocket to the other party, which is untraceable most of the times. Now, you lost the money, now you owe the money to the bank, right? So, this type of scams, whether that's employment or the rental scam, somebody sending you money in advance, then you pay to a third party from it, it's always fraud. So this particular example, so I got this and said, okay, you keep this 1 month rent, deposit, send this money. I just ignored it. 6 months after, I think maybe about 9 months after, I put that for rent again, that same property. I get the same email. this person is still coming. So they're still trying without knowing. He sent me this email before. They were exactly same wordings. They want to send me the check again to do the same thing, right? So that is rental or job scam. You apply for the job. When I first came here, I was a victim of one of those scams. So the advertisement on the paper say, airport jobs apply now. And, coming from back home, working at the airport is a dream. And I'm like, okay, I'm excited. What do I sign? It's like, okay, send me $50 for the application. But I never heard from them after, right? And I'm thinking now, why am I paying $50 for an application? Like, who take the money for application? But me, I want to get into the airport job, and I was so excited. I sent that $50, that's gone. It's only 50 at that time. They were cheap. But now it's a lot more, right? So this is an example of the CRA scam. This is something, I don't know if you have seen this, but if you have a Hotmail or something, you will see in the junk box. It's like you won the lottery, $55 million in UK pounds, or some Nigerian guy sending you a message saying that, we randomly selected your name and you are the winner of 50. They don't have anybody to give it to in Nigeria. They're sending to an Indian guy in Canada, okay, because you're poor, there's no poor people there, right? So they're sending you a big lottery winning. The only thing you have to do is a little bit of money to mail the check and the legal process, right? So whatever they can get from 1,000 people, $100 each, that's good enough. So you getting any type of messages saying you are a winner, right away delete it, because no, you're not a winner. Oh, I think that's done, but maybe I skipped a couple of other scams. Let me just quickly take a look if I have any more on the scam part here. Yeah, I think that's all I have as to the scam. I mean, there's lots of other scam, which is okay. So Revenue Canada, rental scam, job scam, lottery scam. Then one other one you'll see is, I haven't seen lately, but used to see it on the Facebook all the time. If you have seen it, tell me. Oprah Winfrey giving away Mercedes-Benz and brand new Ferrari. Like it and comment and share it. I haven't heard anybody so far. Or it was, for a while, it was The Rock. Dwayne Johnson was giving away. And they will show Dwayne Johnson's picture, and underneath, like and share this, and he's going to send you the money. Or they'll have a video of he's talking something. He's talking about unrelated subject to someone else, but they'll have a video of him talking, but no sound. Then underneath, this is the message saying, Dwayne Johnson is giving away this. And everybody keeps sharing this fraud to next person. Everybody liking, comment. That way, you giving out your personal information, your profile information to the next person. Or there was another twist to the same type of scam is the one you will see. WestJet is celebrating their 100th anniversary, and everyone who like and share, they get a free ticket, right? Everybody's giving away. It's a time of giving. So you see those type of things, people giving away the luxury cars, gold, jewelry, things like that, especially on the Facebook. Don't fall for it. It's just a scam. So I think an hour and a half, that's good. Open to questions. Anybody need a mic? Don't be shy, it's okay. This is awful. Okay. Anybody want to buy a mic? Yeah. And one thing I forgot to say is RCMP is actively recruiting for people especially from the minority communities, and people, females, even people with any type of disability. So active recruiting is going on like every level. So if you're interested, talk to me about it. And like back home, when we applying for a police job, like I said, my dad was a cop. You got to be like 6 feet, good size, height, weight, your chest, and all that matters. Here, that doesn't matter. Your height, weight, none of those matters. Your age doesn't matter. So I was at the RCMP Training Academy last week for 1 week there, and one of the guy who's training there is 46 years old, right? So, and there's oldest graduated from there is 51 years old. So if you are in that range thinking, I'm a little old for it, no, you can do it. And now the new program of the RCMP is you don't necessarily need to be in a police office in this uniform. You have other federal section now starting up, which you don't have to be in this uniform working with people, with general public. You could be working in the office. So there's lots of opportunities. And I actually, in fact, I'm excited to share this information. I actually have a group of chat group with some Malayali police officers in Canada. So at least 8 of them there with the different agencies. So 3, 4 with RCMP. And there is another guy in Surrey, his also name is Jason. So, and there is other with the Ontario Police, Calgary Police. So we got about 10, maybe about a dozen police officers now in Canada. And we need more police officers. So you can be standing here next time talking to people. So anybody's interested, come and talk to me. Any questions? Anybody has any questions? Or you want to talk to me in private, we can do that. So this is one subject always get asked, always get asked. So if you get a ticket, traffic ticket, so if you're driving, most likely you will get a ticket. What can you do if you get a traffic ticket? So I'll give you a couple of things you can do. You can dispute that ticket, okay? So when you're disputing the ticket, you have to do that within 30 days. Copy of your ticket, you can drop it off at ICBC, say, I want to dispute this ticket within 30 days. So when you're disputing the ticket, there's 2 different options. One, you can dispute the fine amount. You think the fine is too much. You want to get a little reduction in the fine, you check the fine amount portion. Or you can dispute the offense itself. You think that you did not commit that offense, you want to dispute that, or take a chance because the officer didn't show up, and you win, right? So if you want to do that, you can check that point, like disputing the offense. Or you can check both, disputing the offense and the fine amount. So you'll get a court date. So before you go to the court date, this is important for you to know. So if you get charged with a criminal offense, first you go to the court. Very first time you go to the court, the only thing the court wants to know, are you pleading guilty or not guilty? So they wanted to know, they want to know, that's the only thing they want to know. So you say, I'm guilty. Okay, then they will give you another date. That's a date for the sentencing. That's a day they're going to say you committed this offense, you're going to get 6 months in jail. Or you plead not guilty, then they will set another date for the trial. That's a date you're going to have lawyers, you have a trial going on. So that's how the process. But the very first time you go to the court, police will give complete report to your lawyer. They will give, this is the pictures, this is the statement, this is what happened, everything. So it is your right as a person who charged you with a criminal offense or the Motor Vehicle Act offense to get that disclosure from the police, because you need to know what you've been charged with, what evidence the police has, before you can decide whether you want to plead guilty or not. So you will have a lawyer look at it and say, the case is very strong, maybe we should look at this or that. So it's automatically done in the case of criminal offense, right? We forward to the Crown Counsel send a copy to your lawyer, you sit down and look at it, everything, go through everything, you have that opportunity, automatically happens. But when it comes to the traffic court, you will only get it if you ask for it. Otherwise, you won't get it. There is no obligation. You have a right, but you need to ask for it. So what do? You get this traffic ticket. On the traffic ticket at the bottom, there is a number, the badge number of the police officer, name, what detachment they work, everything will be there. You make a photocopy of that ticket and write to that police agency detachment. So it is for me, Jason Kindamkara, Richmond RCMP, badge number, blah, blah, blah. You issued me a ticket on this date for this offense. I'm requesting complete disclosure of this ticket, including photographs, pictures, notes, anything you have in your possession, which will be used as an evidence in the court. So the police officer has to send you all the evidence they have. Say, for an example, they use the laser gun or something, the laser reading, they tested the laser, they certified to use the laser, the beginning of the shift they tested, end of the shift, they make notes of everything. They will send it to you. So you can look at that and make a decision whether should I go to the court or not, should I dispute or not dispute. So That is called disclosure. So you have a right for it, and you should ask for it every single time so you know what you're going to be dealing with. So why I say that, I was in traffic before, so I used to write like 15, 20 tickets a day. Sometimes I just stay on the side of the road, cars come in, somebody using a phone, take the license, write the ticket, give it to him, next one, next one. So then after 2 hours, I don't remember who had the green phone or whom did I stop, where did I stop. Sometimes I forgot to make the notes on the ticket. So you asking for a disclosure and your disclosure come to you with nothing written on it, that means they have no evidence because they didn't write it down anything. They forgot to write it down. Sometimes they have a wrong date written down, wrong time, wrong location, wrong car. Everybody make mistake. But lately we're doing everything electronically, but some all print out the ticket, but some still doing the manual way. So always ask for a disclosure. Take a look at it, what's written on it. Is that exactly the case it happened? It's a wrong date, wrong time. They mentioned green cell phone, but you have black. Maybe they wrote it down someone else's cell phone. So then you make a decision. So when you get to the court, 2 more minutes. When you get to the court, the traffic court, you're going to address the judge. You call them your worship, okay? Your worship. Different level of court, you call them different things. So, and the traffic court is your worship, your honor, your lordship, to the Supreme Court, provincial court, like that. So, when you're entering the court, you're going to bow yourself in front of the judge, and we do that. It shows respect. Dress up nicely when you go in there. You don't want to wear a t-shirt and shorts thinking like you're working in a construction field. You look like you present yourself. The judge looking at you thinking, oh, this guy meant business. He's here because he believed in what, it shows that you see any time on the TV, you see the criminals, they are the best looking guys in the stand because they dressed up in the suit, tie, and shows their personality. So you want to go there, dress well, show some respect, give a good morning, and before the court, you have an opportunity to talk to the officer, okay? There's a couple of options for you at that point. So if you already have a disclosure, you saw it, he written down exactly what happened, chances are the police officer is going to win that case because everything is written is correct, right? So you have a couple of options. You can tell them, this is my first offense, I don't have any other history, I'm an Uber driver, if I get a ticket, I'm going to lose my license, blah, blah, blah. I have wife, kids, school, just all the parabdram. So you say all that, you feel, the officer feels sorry, okay, I want to give this guy a break. Ask them to change that into a registered owner's name, okay? So if you are the registered owner of that car, they will take it off from driver, put it on a registered owner. That means this ticket is no more in your name. It just stays on the license plate only. It will not show up anywhere in your name, okay? That's the first thing you can do. You can also ask them to drop the charges. He said, please, first time offense, I didn't know. Can you please just cancel these charges, I have a wife and 3 kids and tuition fees to pay, whatever. If they're kind, they might just drop that charges. Worst case scenario is going to be, you committed this offense, a serious offense, you have 2 choices, guilty or not guilty. So you go in there, the judge, first thing he's going to ask, just like a criminal court, guilty or not guilty? So you say, guilty, your worship, with an explanation. So you can just say whatever the situation is, my phone fall down on the ground, I don't want to step on it, I was just picking it up when the police officer saw. Don't make it up, but just whatever the situation is. I apologize, but if you could give me a reduction in the fine and maybe about 6 months to pay. So almost all the judges will reduce the fine. They see you're guilty, you're taking responsibility for your actions, reduce your fine, and they say, okay, you pay $20 a month for the next 6 months. So you get time to pay, you get fine reduction, right? The other choice is to go for a trial. So they're going to run the trial, the officer is going to give all the evidence, then once the officer gives the evidence, then it's your chance to ask the questions, right? So it's not the statement, it's the questions based on what he said. So most of the time I'm running a trial, I give all this evidence, then the other parties like a dispute, and they will be telling the judge, Your worship, I wasn't speaking that day. I was, no. So judge will, sir, do you have a question? If you have a question, ask the officer. He's the one provided the statement. Question, not a statement. It's two different things. So based on the evidence he provided, say, yeah, he was at the intersection and he was holding a phone in the right hand and on his right ear, something like that, for an example. So if that's not the scenario, you could be saying, no, my left hand was on the steering, I'm drinking a Coke with my right hand, or something, whatever. Whatever the officer said, he does not agree, it's incorrect. Maybe he's talking about someone else, right? That's the time. So did you say that I was holding black phone in my right hand? But how about if I say I was drinking a Coke, I had a Coke in my hand, and I was drinking the Coke, or something like that, question, not the statement. So that's the time for you to dispute the evidence provided by the officer, and at the end, ultimately, the judge will decide. So just to give you that main point to take away is the disclosure is an important part of the traffic ticket process, and always ask for it and review through it before, because if you get a ticket, for an example, using electronic device, it comes with 4 points. So you get a ticket of $386, and ICBC will slap another $160 on top of it. It'll be 540, something like that. Then you get 4 points with it. You will be considered as a high-risk driver. If you go over 3 points, ICBC will start looking at your driver's license for a suspension, right? So you got this ticket, and within 1 year, you get another speeding ticket. Now you're looking at 7 points. Your insurance premium is going to go up. License is going to be suspended. So the main thing is the point you have to worry about, not the amount, right? One more loophole into that, you have an officer, you're making all these negotiations. You can just tell him, if you just put it on the registered owner's name instead of my name, I'll pay another $100 more. You can increase the fine by $100 because it's not the money you're concerned about, you're concerned about the point. Keep that in mind. So if you have no other questions, I think I'll be here for a little bit more so we can talk there. And I want to give some stickers to kids there on the other side. Oh, when I go, okay, I'll give it to them over there. Yeah. Did I put my contact details here in the beginning? I did, right? Okay. So the number I have here is my work number. That's my work number, and that's not a number you can reach me all the time. It is, I only work 4 days and I have 4 off. So when I come in, that's the only time I check. But anytime an emergency, you call 911. And don't call me if you get into trouble, you get arrested, because I can help. It's not like back home call. Let's call Jason. He's probably hooked me up with something now. Sorry. Yes. My pleasure. Thank you.